Hello again, and welcome back to 4FS Gaming. This is Doc, reporting in once again to cover some more Battlefront 2. And today, like I said in the last video, we're going to be having a good old redux of the Galactic Empire's Enforcer, the Death Trooper. Now, some of you might remember, Ascendance actually did a video on the Death Trooper already a little over 2 years ago, and they have remained mostly the same since that video was made. However, in the most recent patch, they were changed in a few notable ways, which we will explore in detail. We will also go over all abilities and stats even if they weren't changed, just so that way this video will be current and fully informative. Let's kick things off with the stats and abilities that have remained the same, and thankfully there aren't too many of them. The health regen stats of the Death Trooper have stayed the same even if the base health values have changed. There is a 6-second delay before the health starts coming back, with 40 health being healed back per second. This can be upped by 100 health per second with a certain star card. He still uses a dodge roll instead of a slide or jump, which provides damage reduction, and he can use 2 of them back to back. Fortify gives you 175 health that builds up fully in 1.2 seconds. This health lasts for 15 seconds and has a cooldown of 30 seconds. Keep in mind that if you lose all of the 175 health before the 15-second active time is up, you still have to wait until that 15 seconds are up before the cooldown will start. And finally, the Sonic Imploder, and unfortunately, it is still as inconsistent as ever. I'm not 100% certain if there have been any stats or things about the grenade itself that have changed, but we'll go over them here in the same as before section because it feels the same as it always has. Whether that's a good or bad thing is up in the air. Based upon my highly rough and rudimentary testing, the max range of the Imploder is 11 meters, but at this range the grenade will only give enemies the stun effect, which will slow their movement and scramble their screen, making it very hard to see. Inching a little closer, and I mean barely any distance closer to the detonation, the grenade will do a minimum of 11 damage. It might actually be 10 damage, but I couldn't get the damage to go any lower than this in around my 20 attempts worth of testing. From here, the damage will steadily increase until you're within 3 meters of the explosion, at which point the max damage of 150 will be dealt. But again, like everything on this ability, it's inconsistent, because the base fuse time of 3 seconds is really long for an anti-infantry grenade. This can be helped by throwing it high up into the air and over obstacles, or just throwing it right above you. The longer in the air the grenade spends, the shorter the fuse time will be once it lands, since it can't actually explode in the air. And after all of that is said and done, it has a 28-second cooldown, which is shorter to similar Enforcer abilities, but much longer than some of the new Enforcers that have been introduced. But the newer Enforcers' left abilities are utilities rather than purely damage-dealing abilities, and in the case of one of them, a movement option. But all of that is a topic for different videos. And for the moment you've all been waiting for, the whole reason I decided to make this redux of the Death Trooper. What has actually changed for the Death Trooper in the last patch? Without further delay, let us begin with the smaller changes, then work our way up to the most immediately obvious one. His total health has actually been reduced. It used to be 350, but has now been lowered to 320. And since the star card that improves total health is percentage base, your max health with that star card is now a very awkward 384, down from the old max health of 420. These values are still good amounts and are much higher than normal troopers, but you're only a little better than the base health of other enforcers. And sadly for the Death Trooper, this is only the first of a long string of nerfs he suffered in the patch. While some aspects of him have been improved, his stats have been lowered more than they have been improved, but I'll be sure to sprinkle in mention of some of the buffs here and there, like his base movement speed for example. It is now the same as normal troopers. Moving swiftly along, his primary weapon has been changed to what it really should have been all along, and his overload has also been changed to improve this new weapon. His movement speed being increased also has another side effect that we can't talk about unless we go over his overload, and overload is nothing without a blaster to, overload. So let's talk blasters. The E11D is a close to mid-range precision blaster rifle that greatly benefits from landing consistent headshots on enemy targets. The Death Troopers is an improved version of the one Assaults have available to them, also introduced in this same patch. Its max damage of 40 is higher than the normal Assaults version of 35. They both fire at the same rate of fire at 300 rounds per minute, meaning it has a max DPS of 200 if all of your shots hit the body. With the standard 1.9 times headshot multiplier, the damage per shot goes up to 76, and the total DPS goes up to 380. But these are actually lower stats than the old DLT-19 the Death Trooper had, and the lower numbers unfortunately do not end here. While the Assault's E11D can fire 25 shots before overheating, the Death Trooper can only fire 15. When you think about it, from a certain point of view, this means the Death Trooper now fires less overall projectiles than a Wookiee can, as the Wookiee can fire 6 shots of 3 projectiles for 18 projectiles total. Moving along, the damage fall-off starts at 20 meters and ends at 40 meters, with the minimum damage being 25. This is the same minimum damage value as the Assault, but their drop-off ends at around 47 meters for some reason. Why this difference is here, I'm not too sure. But all of these stats don't include the single biggest advantage the Death Trooper has over normal units. It has the Overload ability. It's not a very complicated overload. It just takes a weapon that is pretty good as a precision weapon, but no sustained rate of fire, to a terrifying powerhouse at close to mid-range. It doesn't do a lot, but it does enough. It boosts the rate of fire of the weapon up to 360 rounds per minute, lowers recoil and spread, and prevents the weapon from overheating. It does not improve the damage per shot, the damage fall-off, or critical damage. But with that rate of fire increase, the DPS goes up to 240 for close-range body shots, and a really good 456 for consistent headshots. It lasts for 9 seconds, and with star cards it can be improved and upgraded to last for 15 seconds. While those look like good damage values, and don't get me wrong, they are nowhere near as high as they used to be. The old DPS values used to be 224 for body shots and 417 with headshots, and this is without the Overload ability active. With Overload, it was 307 for body shots, and after some rough calculations, around 570 with headshots. The new damage numbers are, again, not bad, but a shadow of their former selves. The one improved thing from Overload is now that you maintain full movement speed, even being able to sprint, but you still can't dodge roll, so keep that in mind. In conclusion, it is pretty easy to see that the Death Trooper has been overall nerfed in this most recent patch. His damage is lower, you have to rely on your Overload ability to have any real Enforcer level damage, and he doesn't have any special things going for him compared to all of the other Enforcers. If you want to be precise, the Super Battle Droid is a much better fit. Do you want crowd control? The Wookiee will tick more of your boxes. Close range exclusively? The Flame Trooper. Support? Well, we'll get into the newer Enforcers later. The Death Trooper has always been a jack of all trades, and it still is, but now it's just worse at everything it was decent at. The only real big improvement is that now, due to having the E11D, you can land more shots consistently, and it's far more accurate than the old DLT-19. In the context of the Death Trooper being a reinforcement, it is still really good and puts out a lot of damage, but only compared to non-reinforcement classes. But even then, its weapon is not a 100% improvement over the Assault's version, and can only be considered one when using Overload. This also means that you are almost required to use the star card that improves the active time of Overload so you can augment the lower Enforcer level damage for longer, and take advantage of the improved damage per shot over the Assault's version. And with that sad tale finally over, this video is now coming to a close. What do you guys think of the Death Trooper post-patch? Do you feel the nerfs were necessary and well warranted? Was he fine before and they should just buff him back up to where he was before? Let's figure this out. The next video I'll be doing is, well, I'm not 100% certain yet. I've got a couple of ideas and footage for a few different topics lined up, but if you guys have any suggestions about what I should cover next, feel free to leave a comment down below and I'll get right on it. But for now, I'm going to keep the next video topic a surprise. Until then, I hope you all enjoyed the video. This is Doc from 4FS Gaming, and I will see all of you guys in the next video.
With the destroyed, we can now make preparations to leave Tatooine in the hands of the local garrison.